Hey everyone, welcome back to Play Casket with your wonderful hosts, Per Rock of the Goblin and
Ghost, your co-host.
And this week of Casket Talk, right off the heels of the weird Gamergatey nonsense that consulting groups decided to throw out there and make up a new villain and boogeyman for themselves, we're going to go ahead and peel back even a further curtain and talk about the fact that the AAA industry is stagnating as fuck.
Episode 62, Video Games Stagnation.
So basically, we're gonna, since it's right off the heels of this whole Sweet Baby thing, we're gonna try to avoid a lot of the consulting stuff because we already kind of dug into that a little bit, too much maybe. So we're gonna try to talk about all the other reasons why basically the AAA industry is literally just stagnating. It's no longer becoming fun. It's literally, I feel like a lot of people are buying games from like AAA developers, and a lot of those like major releases is because they don't want to feel like they're leaving a childhood behind. You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? Like they don't want to, like they're huge Mortal Kombat fans. They don't want to be not a Mortal Kombat fan anymore. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Like it's I feel like that's where a lot of these people are at, and they're like, why do these games suck? We're digging into that today, you know? And I'm pretty sure we've had those. Now, have you had a couple of game series where like, man, this doesn't feel as good as it used to?
Yeah. Well, what is it? I would say like the industry is more of like either it's gonna crash, or if there's no crash, I would say it's gonna just get another black eye.
Maybe, yeah.
But
might need it. Get treated like a domestic dispute in Ireland or something.
Well, the thing is that like I'm trying to think of like. I don't remember the games that I played that was boring. I do know that when I played Helldivers, I was like, I don't remember a game that kept me hooked as long as Helldivers did, or I played as hard as Helldivers is. I guess there was like Elden Ring, but everything else in between, I was like, I never really came back and played it over and over and again, because even with Doom Eternal was actually really fun. And once I beat it, I was just kind of like, okay, cool. Like, I got the gist of it, but...
Says the man who replayed Bloodborne how many times now?
3 or 4 times, yeah. It's not much compared to the other ones. So.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of franchises that, like, I feel like... Just like... I mean, granted, I'm not one to say this. Like, I know this is anecdotal, but I know friends who kind of grew out of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like, man, I don't know. I don't know, like, if I like Pokemon or not anymore. Maybe I grew out of it or whatever. Like, or maybe Pokemon's been attempting changes and gimmicks that just suck repeatedly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, from a person who hasn't really involved themselves too much since Ruby and Sapphire, and then got back in casually, kind of at the end of X and Y-ish area. Uh-huh. I could tell you right now, a lot of those mechanics are just really garbage mechanics.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can't guarantee them not to be garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it might sound good on paper until it actually comes out and see how the rest of the world feels about it. You don't know. And I could see where Pokemon Company was like kind of hoping like Gigantamaxing was really cool. It's not. It is a game of chicken, and it is actually even really boring to watch on a professional level.
Okay.
Like, it was really genuinely just boring. But me personally, I've mentioned this before, but Mortal Kombat. I've had a game that was like that. I think X was probably the last time I'm like, okay, I could see where they're going, and then, like, figured that's where they're going to stick around, is that like heavy metal style look and stuff. And then they went with 11. And 11 took a sharp left turn. I'm like, what the hell? And this is ignoring a lot of the ugliness of that game. That game looked like, again, I'm going to say it again, like a balls of punched mud to resemble a face.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it looked for everything. It was not that great to look at. And a lot of the characters moved weird. The mechanics were grungy. The grind was stupid. Like, it was just not enjoyable, and I was actually kind of irritated. I was like, do I just not like these games anymore? And then 1 came out, and I was like, what? First of all, I have not touched 1 yet. but seeing a lot of these stuff that is like it's just regurgitation of 11, but you just reset the timelines and time waits and the weird timey-wimey bullcrap. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy into this, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell is going on? That's a sign of stagnation. Like, Mortal Kombat's stagnating, dude. And it's not just that. Like, a lot of AAA developers are doing that. A lot of AAA is going on in that, and we're gonna find out why. You know. Like, it's not just, just one, it's not just Western developers. Like, again, I even cited Pokemon's a good example.
Yeah. Well, one thing one of my friends made a really good observation about is that they made games to be addicting, not fun. And even a lot of them are based off, like, dailies. If they don't have dailies, they technically have dailies. Or something of that sort. So
yeah,
that
I see what you're saying with this. Like something that feels like you have an impulse to log in, unless because you have the fear of falling behind.
Yeah, and then like you could be done, and then like once you get like the non-daily done, because even if it's not like you can only collect this resource every 24 hours, it's still technically a daily, and you don't really connect that to like a
your best
paid
matchups. You have like the first 5 matchups of your game improves your rank better.
Yeah.
Than after that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to fall behind because your rank can slowly decline anyway.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like there's other methods in it, not just rewards. There's like threats of losing your progress and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you catch the dragon, you're like, okay, I'm logging off, and you don't ever touch it for the rest of the day. Like I miss a game where you would play it until you have to go to work, or you would play it and then, you go to work, you think about it, and you can't wait to come back to it. And it's very few and far between that we have games like that anymore.
Well, we do. I think the thing is I think we do. I don't think AAA has them. No, I think they're in indie. Again, I know it sounds wild, but there's like several games that I've been playing a lot of are indie games. I've been just getting into Berserk Boy, which is like a weirdly acrobatic Mega Man meets like a 2D Devil May Cry type of thing. It's weird, but it's fun. It's short, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Like I could see myself giving it another run through in a few weeks after I beat it. I'm like, you know what, that was really good. And just hop back into that fight. Outside that, like I've been playing Inscription. Inscription's really good. I really like that one too. But there's like, it's either retro games, because a lot of people do just go back to the retro. It's like, man, I'm going back to a classic time. But honestly, a lot of indie games still have that magic. It's just that there's so many out there. You just got to figure out what it is.
Yeah, you got to filter through the.
Snake Pass. I ended up buying digitally for the Switch, played it all the way through. Bought it physically for the Switch and played it all the way through again, and I'm itching to play it again. Actually, not too long from now, because I just played Mario Wonder. I'm like, man, I really need a 3D platformer again, and just Nintendo's just not gonna make it right now. And a lot of the 3D platformers that are offered right now are like bite-sized versions of 64 games, which is fine. Games like Corn Kid 64 and stuff are fun, but they're short. There's a reason why they're like $5. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna last that long. And as much as I would like them to, they're not. And that's just it, right? So yeah, I'm gonna probably hop back on Snake Pass and play it again. But literally, and I think you're right. I think like a lot of it is like they're trying to get you to play the game, not have fun with the game.
Yeah.
And honestly, that ties into one of the reasons why I think we're seeing some stagnation is investors.
Yep.
Investors see, like, ultimately, investors, and it just makes sense, it's just the way the nature is of investors, period. Investors want to give you money so they could get more money in return when they're ready to tap out. Like, they want their money to make money.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate solution. But for them, they only see what's popular. Like, if they don't know video games and they're investing in video games, they'll pick the thing. They're like, why can't you make the thing that's very popular right now? Why are you not doing a battle royale? Why do you think a lot of companies did a battle royale mode after Fortnite popularized it? Not that it was the first company that did it. It was the first one to popularize it. And then they were like, We want that Fortnite money too. You gotta make a Fortnite. He's gotta make a Fortnite. They gotta make a Fortnite. Make a damn Fortnite. And everybody does, and it fails. Like, you failed making Fortnite. If you made Fortnite better, you would have gotten Fortnite's money. No. It's just because there's so many people doing 64 plus battle royale modes that there's not that many people trying to play that crap.
Well, even though too, like, they got their money, they don't give a shit if the game
they don't care
is successful or not.
Like, if the game at least sells the money, like, if the game sells enough that they make their money back, they don't care if everyone fucking hates it.
Yeah.
They don't. They genuinely do not care. And I think that's where parts of the stagnation, because it kills the creative process too. Like, we need to do this because I think it will actually add an element. No, you're gonna do this so they could sell, and I'm out. And then you're forced to do it, you know. And that's just it breaks down. And then to top that off, we also have like community managers and community relations and communication either completely dead or ran by the most vitriolic, self-egotistical, like self-proclaimed gods of whatever place they're at. Like, they're like, you can't touch me, and whatever I say goes. In my opinion, matters more because I'm a community manager. You're just the community.
Well, there are some reports saying that a lot of them are also on the same Discord server. So if there's like all these huge list of like companies and they have their own Discord servers, they're also in this one specific one, and they're like, hey, if you don't toe this line, you're not one of us. You're one of us, aren't you?
Oh my god, I believe that, honestly. Like, when you think about it,
well, it's also
when you think about it, with a lot of like the weird white self-hate I see a lot of these people do on these community managers. Like, I'm white, I'm just trying to keep myself. We gotta really step up. We don't get to say we don't have to say our piece. We don't, like, all this weird crap, weird weirdo crap, and just, it is dumb. It's genuinely dumb, and it's like vehemently anti that consumer. You know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, why can't you talk about the game right now? Are you white? Ew. Grow away. You know, like, that's bad. That's sad. You know?
You do know white people play your games, right? You do know white people have money too, right?
They're one of the major buyers of video games in the West. The hell, like, one of the major collectors and buyers of, like, just video game related paraphernalia are white and Asian.
Yeah.
Statistically, period. Even with like other cultures and races have that same amount of money and stuff, they don't spend it on it as much as whites and Asians. You know, suppose that. There's no other arguments. There's probably explanations as to what they spend other things on and stuff too, but they didn't do the research on that, so I wouldn't know. But that's just it. That's it. You know, like, you can't be alienating people, or else they're gonna feel dejected and they're just not gonna play games, and it's just gonna continue stagnating your AAA industry. You know, but while it's stagnating, what do you think is gonna happen next? Because obviously it's on the, like, I don't think it's turning. I think it's becoming aware that they're gonna have to turn.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I feel like major companies are not trying to shift and change course. They just see that they might have to. Like, there is something problematic over there. We might need to change, or we're going to hit that iceberg dead on. You know what I mean?
Oh, I would say patching then. Like, there's going to be a breaking point to where they're like, oh, come back. This is 2.0. This is the 2.0 patch. It's much improved. We fixed everything. We listened to you guys. And we're sorry.
What is it called? Patch exhaustion or something like that?
Yeah.
Something to that point. I could be wrong with that. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and then they're like, please come back. Like, it's much improved. And you have people say like, oh yeah, it is good. Like, I actually hated this. Now this new patch improved it. And you'll just have people like, no, I'm not coming back. Like, you guys can't keep doing this anymore. I'm not coming back anymore.
You're seeing cracks with that. I'm not saying like huge signs. You're seeing cracks. Like, you're seeing small subsets of that happening. And I think it's gonna grow. I think it's gonna grow. I think you're onto something with that. A good one is Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But Bethesda's pretty good with the Cyberpunk one, actually. But Scarlet and Violet's actually a pretty good one too, because when Nintendo announced the complete release one, where it had the DLC on it with it and stuff, a lot of people were like, so the game's broken. Like, even though they patched a lot of it.
Yeah.
I actually did buy the ones with the DLC on it so I could try it and stuff. And I did import them from Japan because they had actually one that was updated with both DLC on it. But I tried it and stuff. They did solve a lot of those problems that people had. But the fact that they don't care anymore is actually what you're talking about. They're just tired. They're like, and people are like, oh, well, it's better that they patched. Dude, so a lot of this, and I totally agree with a lot of these people, are like, this stuff should have been, like, resolved and playable out the gate.
Well, yeah, because like it makes me so upset that it's like, oh, well, it's broken. We could just patch it on its way out. On its way out. It's like, you guys can't keep doing that because it's like, oh, I forgot my keys. Oh, I forgot my keys. Oh, I forgot. Like, one day you're just gonna get locked out, and then yeah.
No, dude, absolutely. I actually agree with that. This is one time where we're both like, yeah, no, I'm not adding any extra to that. Like, both, like, I can see that. No, it's a good example because going back to Pokemon again, I literally was gonna buy Diamond and Pearl, their remakes, because that was like the next generation for me to follow up on.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even have the legendary accessible on the cart.
What?
You have to have the day one patch. How the hell do you overlook it that bad, dude? I was gonna just see where I could continue because I heard that it basically played 1-to-1 ultimately.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, okay, I'm down with this. I'm down with this idea. No. I might have to actually import them from Japan because they might actually have a reprint of those.
Yeah, just wait and then like they could wait and like just wait until they start seeing games where it's like, well, I like, patch 1.5 better, so I'm gonna go back to play 1.5.
Not only that, but we've already crapped on episodic content before.
Yeah.
They're just probably gonna hide a way to make episodic content again.
Yeah.
$60 for level 1 of Sonic. Another $20 for level 2.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna add a free level 3. And it's like, dude, I already paid $70 for this.
Yeah.
Like this is not. They're gonna get exhausted, and people were already exhausted with Pokemon, and the fact that that's Telltale, dude. You have Pokemon of all people, vehemently like diehards. They're just like, no, I don't even want to buy that. Like, and I'm not even like a huge fan. I'm just seeing it because I was like, I'm gonna give this a go because this, I see that, the responses. I was like, the fact that that's coming up and that's becoming more prevalent. Tell me that a lot of people are getting tired of it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's not just that, but I think a lot of people are catching on to a lot of the other weird practices and stuff too, like trying to sell you DLC and season passes to single-player games, games that require online to play a single-player game, games that require 100 gigabyte download and just one little disc that just has a code that says, you're okay to download this, and you have to download the whole game anyway.
Yeah.
Like, all this crap is people like, why? Right? And on top of that, because so many people want power, graphics, and they're already crapping on the potential Switch 2 because they're like, this PS6 is going to come out in a year after that and just totally crush it. Dude, they can't even sell the PS5 now. What makes you think the PS6 in 2 years would be an okay thing to do?
Well, the most interesting thing is that, like, I wonder what the breaking point for, like, your average consumer will be when they're just like, no, I'm not gonna do this for Madden again. Like,
I think it's when the prices start going up constantly. Because think about it, they're already saying the rise of the $70 game, and people are freaking out. But so far, the $70 games, by and large, have been well received by people. So people are like, oh, thank God. But it's gonna. The thing is, even with $70, your resources that you require is going to exponentially continue to grow, right? Now, of course, the $70 game, you're like, oh, I could only sell like 2 million less and I still make money. Well, what happens in the next game when you have to actually sell 7 million more? Or 7 million more after that, or 7 million more after that, and then suddenly you're going to require so many millions more of sales to break even that you fundamentally cannot make money. It's just that demanding. Like, it's so much that even your most diehard people can't keep up anymore. And that's the breaking point. I feel like that's the breaking point because they're going to be like, oh, well, nobody bought Spider-Man 4, Miles made clones, whatever, and that's your fault. And people are like, what do you mean? I bought the game. I'm so over this. Fuck this. And they'll leave. Dude, they'll just straight up just flip the table and be gone.
Another one, too, is just consoles are starting to become PCs. The whole point of why I buy a console is because you don't have to worry about the patching. Like, you have to think about your average boomer consumer that are just like, oh, I buy the thing, I push the button, and I get it.
So, yeah. So, fundamentally, and I've actually had people, like, launch on
Well, the thing is that, like, modern consoles aren't like that anymore.
No.
That's the issue.
Yeah. So, one of the main problems that consoles had was it's supposed to be cheap, accessible, and essentially, for brevity's sake, simplistic.
Yeah.
I buy a console, connect it to my TV, I can play my games.
Yep.
If your games aren't even playable, then what's the point in having it?
Yeah.
Then on top of that, you have games that are taking 100, 200. There's a game coming out that takes 474 gigabytes.
What the fuck?
For a console. I forgot what game it was. It's like it's this. Oh, there's a whisper coming out. I think it's a Bethesda game or something like that. I think it's the new Skyrim that they're saying prepare for it or something like
Jesus
that.
Christ.
And I'm like, that's a quarter of one of your baseline PS5s. That's a quarter of its space.
Yeah.
That means all you have to do is release 4 games for that game in the system, and that whole thing is full. How messed up is that, right?
Yeah. So well, that's the thing though, because it's like,
so now you got to buy parts to upgrade it. Now you suddenly have a cheaper version of a PC, because the PC is supposed to be expensive because you gradually compartmentalize their upgrades. You got to update a power source. You got to update the motherboard. You got to you don't update it all at once. You update this. You update.
Well,
that,
the people who do that too like to tinker with it.
Yeah,
and it's like
the people who like doing it.
Yeah,
right. And the people who have to, like people who actually need to do it and stuff, don't like spending that much money constantly to keep stuff up and running.
And the time.
And eventually, if you're like, well, just play it on minimal, on minimal settings. The thing is, even when you're playing on minimal settings, that minimal settings expectation still keeps climbing.
Yeah.
You know? So people
well,
still
I bought
feel
a
like
console,
you gotta
so
do
I
that.
don't have to do that.
That's exactly
you're supposed to. The console's supposed to skip all that stuff.
Absolutely. Like, and it literally is like these. And I honestly think it's because of the power pissing contest. The only reason why the Xbox and the PS5 feel more like a PC is because they're basically approaching it as if it was. And the only reason why the Switch isn't considered it the same way, and people keep saying, oh, it's more of a toy, blah, 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 because technically the consoles were originally supposed to be that.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be entertainment systems. You just go in and be entertained. That's what it was supposed to do.
So yeah, just give
not
some...
your, baby's first PC bullshit.
Yeah, so just give some time when we see PCs and like, do you want the hard drive or not the hard drive? Or do you want the disk drive or not the disk drive? You want the 500 or the 2 terabyte?
You're going to have so many different weird subset species of...
and then like, what RAM do you want? What power supply do you want?
Yeah, it's... And dude, I already heard that Xbox is probably doing that.
Oh god.
Like the next version of the like $700 version of their console has no disk drive unless you specifically order it, which just increases the price. But why are you spending $700 on this to begin with? Dude, just build a PC then by that point.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
So it's supposed to streamline all that stuff, but it's like, you're becoming PCs. I'll just get a PC.
Hell, dude, you're like, it's supposed to be streamlined. And then you have like an internet infrastructure that you have to pay a premium for because it's supposed to be all inclusive into your system, that you have access. But none of that fucking works. Like, do you think that I enjoy, like, granted, thankfully, it's not that expensive in the long run. It's $20 a year. That's all I pay for, right? Do you really think I want to pay for the premium thing to have free digital versions of 64 games?
Yeah.
No! No, I do not! I don't even want, like, I don't like, the way the Nintendo's online system needs to be updated because that stuff is garbage.
Well, the thing is that, like, you also make a walled garden, too, of people, those who, the haves and haves not.
Yeah, and the thing is, that walled garden should be appealing, is why you should be able to want to spend money to be in it. But none of these, not PlayStation, not Xbox, Not Nintendo, especially not Nintendo with the as far as online infrastructure goes. Like, I could have this many games for Nintendo, and I could still tell them their internet sucks. I hate trying to shop on that thing.
Yeah.
Well, PlayStation's wasn't really that great either on the PS4, so I was like, I miss the Wii U and the 3DS already. Because it was like smooth. It just loaded up. It's like, there you go, games and stuff. You're like, oh crap, you know, and you just explored it. And
OG PS3. It was just like it was just tiles, and if like you scroll all the way to the top, scroll all the way to the bottom, and it just like loaded like that. And yeah, with the PS4 now, you're like scroll all the way to the bottom. Oh, it's loading. Oh, it's loading.
At least you can get to the bottom.
Yeah. You're like, oh my god, like I can't get back to my place.
Dude, like you could only go like a third of the way on the Switch, and it like has to load up the rest of the characters. But if you try to mess with it a little bit, it's like your cursor goes somewhere else. And like, I guess I'm not going down that menu anymore.
Yeah, so it's like, fuck it, I'm not buying anything.
Dude, no, absolutely not. Like that's just part of the stagnation. Let me tell you, right? But I also think one of the other things is going to happen is I think a lot of major developers are probably going to try to buy indies to try to sound all hip and cool, to hide the fact that they're delaying their massive games. Like, oh, you like indies? Well, we at EA bought Team Cherry, and we're releasing the newest version of Hollow Knight. Why? Why did you buy that? You know, they're going to start doing that crap to kind of hide that crap. I can see that happening.
Major
EA's
announcement.
tried that.
Yeah.
EA's already tried that. Ubisoft's already tried that. Microsoft's already tried that. It's going to continue.
We're still making money. See. Yeah.
We care about small teams too, bitch. You can literally make a skeleton crew of 15 people doing some bizarre thing that can just be experimental and just like release it for $20, and then if it takes off, you could just build on that. That's how Assassin's Creed started, because it was just some oddball team. They're like, we're figuring this out. Like, they wanted to do like more of an open world Prince of Persia, and that's what started the Assassin's Creed series.
Yeah.
And they were doing a proof of concept. They released it, and then Ubisoft was like, fuck it, wrap it up in a disc and see what they like, and it blew up, and then suddenly we got this now, you know. So that sucks. But what do you think could be done to kind of correct the ship a bit? Like, it's not going to ever heel turn. This thing's got to do some damage before it can turn around. Like, it's going to get the black eye. It's going to get domestically abused. You know, like, it's straight up going to happen. What do you think is going to help them correct that, though?
I mean, I guess like let them be on the mercy of our wallet, I guess, if that makes sense. Basically, like keep them in bankruptcy so that they know who they're catering to, because like without any worries, like when they're just in a cozy production area, they're like, oh well, we could take all the time we want, we could patch it, we don't have to worry about anything. And like, no, like, this is a stressful environment. We're gonna die if we don't get this game out, and it better be the best product ever, because we don't make it, we're gonna die. And like, that's where like you get the best games.
No, the thing is, I don't think we need that much stress, but I think technically they're already on that path with how big these budgets are. They're just gonna fundamentally get to that point, and I think that's probably gonna be more destructive now than it would have been 20 years ago.
If it dies, it dies. Right.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they can't make a big budget game and run that risk and make a good one, because we're already talking about how big budget games are fucking bad.
Yeah.
You know, there's just going to be just a guaranteed destruction. You know, they need to rein it in. You know, make smaller games, and if that thing craps out, then they know they just have shit talent. You know,
I guess a big humbling, and then I guess also get game designers on it, or at least like people who
actually have a degree in what they're actually in. I need somebody in community management that has a management degree, or a social sciences degree,
or
not some weird like liberal arts degree. I need somebody who's in a game design lead with a game design degree. I need somebody who's in marketing with a marketing degree, not a weird like color theory degree and stuff. You really think you're gonna go into aerospace dynamics with a color theory degree?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. Why are we allowing that to happen in video games?
Or at least let somebody who likes a source material actually do it. Holy shit.
Dude, that should be a litmus test. They just toss like this like pop quiz at somebody and see if they answer any of the characters. Like, oh yeah, it looks like you understand. In Lara Croft, we can actually make Lara Croft. They use the word colonialism at least once in the thing. You're like, we can't hire you.
Oh, we found a better candidate.
We found a better candidate.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for applying.
Like, honestly, and going back to that smaller team thing too, it would make sense. Just smaller teams, that way they can experiment with good ideas.
Yeah.
Instead of constantly being at the behest of investors. Nah, more Fortnite type of screaming, you know? Like, damn, man.
Well, even then, too, I remember this is Hollywood, but I'm pretty sure it's also like it applies with the AAA industry because their budget is so
stupid,
so ballooned. Because when like the reason why Hollywood has such a huge budget is because they hire a bunch of really like not useless, but I would say, but like really redundant roles, like somebody who powders the nose. Oh, he shows up to powder the nose for 5 minutes, and we pay him $500. And it's like somebody on set can't do that. Like
yeah.
I know he worked really hard to get that degree, maybe, and to like get connections, but it's like we don't need to pay somebody $500 just to powder someone's nose.
Yeah,
and then
basically.
There's an apprentice, and he just runs water to us. Well, why can't he just do it for free? Or why can't he, like, it's so ridiculous. Like, yeah, super redundant stuff.
It, like, when you say it out loud, it almost sounds like money laundering, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
So I'm thinking, like, you know, they have, like, they're in these, like, $500,000 offices, and there's only 3 of them, and they have state-of-the-art computers, and they're making, like, a pixel game. You know,
same people who put in like a $7,000 rig just to play Mario Brothers ROMs.
Yeah. So I think it's rather really redundant roles or really redundant materials, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from with that. Honestly, that is valid of points. But you know, what's your overall hope with this AAA industry? Is there anything that you kind of like hope for the best of? Like, is there something that you generally have some goodwill for, or do you just feel like it's dying in the water?
I think it'll manage eventually. Like, something new will pop up instead. But you're right about the indies. I think indies will. Well, we will see some kind of like new market that comes out and just punches the shit out of the AAA industry, and then the AAA will be like, no, but we got battle passes, and then they get like stomped on more until they're like, okay, we kind of learned from that, we're not going to do this anymore. So I sorry if that sounds really vague, but it's something along the lines of, like, you know, there's always that new trend that everybody's going to try to jump on, and then once it catches, it'll be the new thing, because we're right now we're just waiting for the new trend, because Battle Pass is kind of the thing right now.
I think fundamentally, you might be onto something with that, with the new. We're all waiting for something. I actually think it's more of an industry thing instead of the next thing for people to consume, right? I do think I've already seen particular signs of it already, with like Way Forward and Platonic being like B-class publishing wings. So a lot of indies are actually getting a little bit more money because they're becoming more independent, like they're becoming more publisher based. So you have Way Forward and Platonic doing this. I think another company's going to start doing it. Super Rare is starting to do it as well, to publish games, right? And they're all these indie games, and most of them are going to be, you know, a little bit higher budget, but not like huge, right? I could see that. Honestly, I think we're ready for. We're not going to crash, but we are going to stumble hard. I think a lot of studios are like, not just the layoffs. We've seen layoffs after layoffs now. This is going to pale in comparison to what is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see 30, 40, 50, 60% of entire studios shutting down from AAA development. I could see literally, like, we've seen a game fail so bad that they closed an entire studio, right? Imagine a game being so terrible that it closes a third of the publishing wing of that studio. Like Ubisoft, not just closing down that studio, but closing down a third of their own company because they're not going to be covering that company's thing anymore because it doesn't exist anymore. That's how bad it's going to get.
One thing too is that I kind of noticed that like how the Wii saved the
Wii
game.
saved the gaming industry. Yeah,
I also see that happening somewhere in the future too, to where
I do see that happening too.
Not the Wii, but like
I don't see it like a Nintendo console. I think Nintendo's console, like, if anyone's going to benefit from this new shift, it's going to be a Nintendo console. But I do think a PlayStation will too. I think by this time Xbox would have already moved on to a service fee thing.
The thing is that I see it to where like if trends just go the way they are right now, we will see burnout. Because even now, Gen Alpha doesn't really care about video games. It's more of like a millennial Zoomer thing. So when Gen Alpha comes up and they're like, hey, Gen Alpha, you should come buy this stuff. And they're like, no. And then Zoomers and millennials feel alienated. Like, there's going to be a huge drop-off right there. Like, so if they don't bring anything that will be innovative to invite even a bigger crowd to come in, I think I won't be finished, but I think it's gonna really hurt them really badly.
I think you're right on a little bit right on that, but I don't think Gen Alpha is uncaring to video games. I do think a lot of them play games, but they play like shorter games and stuff like that. Most of the people who watch streamers now are Zoomers and Alpha.
Okay.
Millennials most of the time don't. They're usually the ones doing the streaming, or they're trying to do some other bullcrap. But I do think you're right about that. I think a lot of the stuff is like, hey, Call of Duty and stuff, right? I don't think Alpha's gonna care. I think Alpha's gonna want a different thing because they don't want to be like, I don't want to be like my dad.
Millennials and Zoopers are dumb.
Yeah, like they don't want to be like their dad. Like that's the reason why like certain metal music is so old and dumb. But then again, at the same time, you have kids who are listening, like Zoomers listening to like My Chemical Romance and crap.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, okay.
So you have stuff like you have the rift between the two. But I do think I could see that happening. But I think it's going to happen before that.
Okay.
I think the thing that's going to reawaken it, kind of like how the Wii did, won't be a console. It'll be the indies. I think it'll be a collective as how games are. Like it's going to be like people are just tired of everything, and then they just see this one bright green game. Like, what is this? And they start trying to play it. Like, oh, it's simple. Oh, this is pretty fun. Actually, I actually kind of enjoy this.
And then like, oh, I'm really good at that too. And then you'll see like the Zoomers and the
and then you see a lot of these indie games. Just like people are like, oh, I kind of want more of this. What is this game? Frogun? What is this game? Lunistis? What is this game? Hollow Knight? Dude, I really like this. This is great. You know, and it's gonna be that way.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, "Oh, Hollow Knight's already popular." It's popular in the indie scene. It is nowhere near as popular you think it is.
Yeah.
But I could see it being one of those ones that just takes that charm. Like, oh, this is what game's about, and that's where the indies are gonna come back. And then like all the major indie developers are gonna just like shake off a bunch. I think a lot of studios are not gonna have their famous like crack teams that they used to have and stuff, but I think they're gonna be like, no, we're still cool too, and they're trying shoving off all the rubble from all the collapsing they did and stuff, and they'll start trying to make small business stuff like ideas and such too. Okay. I think there will be a lot of major AAAs that are just not gonna be there anymore.
Yeah.
I think EA will probably be one of them. I think Microsoft will have a lot of them by name only. They're not going to make any games outside that.
Okay.
A lot of the games that the studios are going to own, I'm pretty sure they're going to close. I think the only one that will probably stick around is Blizzard. Literally the only one.
Okay.
I don't think any of the other ones will in this collapse. And I think Microsoft will just be a service thing like, oh, do you like classic games like this? Come to this, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll just try to license the other games out to like other companies and stuff and have Game Pass on the other systems. That's basically what I see is happening.
Until licensing gets too expensive and then they split off and make their own.
Oh, I think it's going to collapse collectively. I think Microsoft's going to own all the IPs, so there's nobody going to be able to split off from it because Microsoft's the only one with it. They'll license some people to kind of like emulate them for the newer systems or whatever, but that's it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to be making anything else because after the collapse, I really don't. I think they're going to just kind of keep on their Game Pass as they're the retro gamer brand. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be like the, remember these games, and then that's what everyone who was a classic gamer like, oh man, I got to get myself some old Bethesda games. Oh yeah, I'm going to just hop in Game Pass real quick and download them real quick or stream or whatever, because it's going to be that thing that's like they're probably going to appeal to it because millennials are going to be too old to care much about a stockpile of games. They're going to be like, look, I'm stressed. I got to spend all this time and money on all this other stuff for my family. I'm just going to hop on and play a little bit of Call of Duty right now. And that's it. Mm-hmm. They won't care otherwise. And I think that's where Microsoft's going to go. And once the collapse happens, they're just going to stay in that whole be cool with us, and that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Like, they're just going to be the Xbox, like, dude bro brand for the older generation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's kind of like how a radio station's still for metalheads.
Yeah.
But they're like from the 80s.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, but that was a lengthy one. That's my overall hope. But yeah, there's a lot more going on with this AAA industry, and it's not just the consulting, because we tried to make sure we didn't talk much about that this time. That's causing a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. It's not just the consulting. It's not just diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's a lot of major flaws that AAA industry is just actively choosing to be this stupid.
Well, it's like a shambling zombie. It's like this thing should have died a long time ago.
Yeah. Like, how is this still alive? Like, it's just like I see popsicle sticks holding their legs together. What's going on here, guys? Like, who's keeping this thing around?
Investors.
It's just
Battle pass. Yeah.
That's why we don't have any zombies here. They say stuff like that, and we just bury them back down. So, I'd like to thank you all for listening in. We're going to wrap that up today. If you like our content, always feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, we will see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.